Konnichiwa. Nihon Cricket Podcast to yokoso. Boku no namae wa Alan desu. I think that even those who have never heard a word of Japanese before can understand that. But just in case, hello and welcome to the Japan Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Kerr, and on this show, I will speak to the people who have played a role in the shaping of cricket in Japan, both on and off the field. I am joined today by a man who's spent an awful long time in Japan and has been part of the fabric of Japan cricket for probably around 20 years. He has won the Japan Cricket League with his club, the Chiba Sharks, as a wicketkeeper. He has umpired international tournaments. He is the Japan Cricket Association board member, and he is father to two under-19 World Cup players. Chris Thurgate, welcome onto the podcast.
Thanks, Al. Thanks for the invitation. Pleasure to be here.
Mate, why don't we go right back to the beginning, and you can give me a little bit of information about your background. So why don't you tell us where you're from and a little bit about what it was like growing up there?
Okay, so I was born in Sydney, Australia, but I grew up in northern New South Wales, probably most famous for Adam Gilchrist country. He was a couple of years ahead of me, but I grew up in that area, up by the beaches, pretty much warm all year round, and cricket in summer and hockey and rugby and whatever in winter. Great.
So did you have brothers, sisters?
Younger brother and a younger sister. Yeah.
So did you was it a case that you and your brother would go and play on the beach or in the backyard?
He's 8 years younger than me, so not till we were older, but more so with friends. I also started playing in my father's indoor cricket team midweek as well. So I was one of those kids that sort of probably played any sport that came along at the time.
Yeah, right.
Necessarily just one sport. Yeah.
So what are your earliest memories of cricket then? Is it that kind of stuff?
Yeah, playing with school friends, straight into playing under 10s when I was about 8 years old or something like that. And just, everybody in the neighborhood basically getting together and playing cricket. Having that opportunity to play against other teams was really exciting for us as well too. So yeah, I remember those days very fondly.
You mentioned Adam Gilchrist, but he was a bit ahead of you, as you said. Did you have any specific cricketing heroes as you grew up?
Stephen Roger Waugh, seeing a guy like that play for Australia at such a young age, and then at such a tough time, and watching his career go ahead was great. But yeah, all the guys that era.
Yeah, it was pretty decent size. Did you used to get to many matches? Did you go and watch any games?
So growing up in the country, it was difficult to go and see matches. Once a year, there'd be a test match in Brisbane at the Gabba. Some people would go up and watch it, and our local league actually takes one weekend off. That weekend off, it stops, so that the whole week could potentially go and watch it. One of my earliest memories of watching high-level cricket was what they used to call a country challenge or something like that, which was a touring team, or whatever team was touring, would play like a country New South Wales side, and they'd play around different parts of the state. And I remember the year, I think it must have been 1990, and Sachin Tendulkar was on his first trip to Australia. So there was this 16-year-old kid playing, sort of in one of our local grounds. And we never had any idea that this guy would go on to be what he was. But it was always sort of good to say, lucky later years, I saw Sachin when he was 16, So he was playing against the side with Mark Waugh and, a few other really good players in that side as well. So yeah, it's good to watch.
It's pretty frightening to think of what he was doing at that age, or what I was doing at that age. So, moving on from that, when did you come to Japan?
First came, I think it was about the winter of 95, maybe, just on a working holiday. Came for a short time, lived up in Nagano, worked in the snow, had a great time, coming from the warm northern beaches of northern New South Wales straight into the snow. It was a bit of a shock at first, but yeah.
One try it.
Yeah.
And then, so you came, you say, for a working holiday, but then you've come back and stayed. What was it that brought you here for the long term?
So met my wife in Australia, I suppose, and decided we'd go to Japan and live there for a few years. And it's now been 22 years since I've moved here. So
it was 99 you came here full time?
99, yeah, I moved here. I started 99 full time, yeah.
All right. And Marcus was born in 2001?
2001 January, yeah.
Yeah, great. So what were your earliest memories then of the cricket scene at that time?
So in those days, the very early days, I've heard rumors about some type of quasi-league that was happening down in Koiwa. I heard that there was a ground in Koiwa. And I never knew where it was or anything like that. And I spent a bit of casual time looking for it. But obviously the internet and whatever wasn't as strong as it was that in these days. So by the time I did come across it was 2002, end of 2002. Somebody here in Chiba said, hey, there's something happening in Koiwa. Let's put a team together and join this competition next year. So, which coincidentally was the same time that the Tokyo Wombats were formed. So I think we both started playing in this league in the same year, which was very difficult to play consistently because of the ground availability, the one ground, all the other types of things that go on with trying to book grounds like that. And that sort of morphed into what's now become the JCL. It's a very different story these days, but that rivalry, I think, which was born there with the Wombats, has continued the whole way through. So,
yeah, right.
Until this day.
So, when you moved here, just backtracking a little bit, did you have any expectation of there being cricket, or were you in the mindset that I'm moving to Japan, that's probably my cricketing days done?
Yeah, definitely. I never thought I'd be playing cricket. The only time I thought I'd play cricket is if I went back and fielded for my home club team again. It wasn't even on my radar of things to do.
So you would have been in your mid-20s at that stage?
Yeah, mid-20s, yeah. I think we sort of formed the Sharks and stuff in 2002. So towards, end of late 20s, very late 20s. So
yeah, so that's, I was going to talk a little bit about the Sharks. It was the Ichihara Sharks to begin with, right?
Yeah, right. Yep.
And then the rebrand of the Chiba Sharks. I'm not quite sure when that came about.
Yeah, so we started off as the Ichihara Sharks because we had a place where we were training in Ichihara and we tried to base it around that. But we sort of soon worked out that there probably wasn't enough potential cricketers in that small area. So we branched out a couple of years later and called ourselves the Chiba Sharks. And that's one of the reasons for that was we always had the ambition to get our home ground. That was always one of the big things. Okay, we're going to form the club. We're going to play wherever at the moment, but we really want to have a home base and a home club. So that was an ongoing search for about, at least 10 years until later on when the Sambu ground came up. So, but that was always a big part of it. Okay, change our names to be the Chiba Sharks, hopefully attract a wider part of the community and make it all inclusive. And that we thought that would help us grow from within as well as giving us a chance to find that ground.
And it has, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has worked. Yeah, and unfortunately we're not using it at the moment because of the current COVID situation. But I can tell you that everybody's really looking forward to getting back there and putting in things like working bees and whatever needs to happen to keep that an asset for us.
Yeah, I bet. So then you mentioned the Wombats and the rivalry. So you guys played in a few grand finals against them. 2006, you lost one before the Sharks got their first title win in 2010. And I think there's a bit of a story around that game, and you're a key member in it.
The big story around that game is we'd never beaten the Wombats. I think we'd lost in the previous 9 meetings, and we'd come really close sometimes, really agonizingly close. And the Wombats seemed to be a team that just attracted some really good quality players. So we'd be on top. We'd think we'd be on top in some game, and then just a quality player would just turn it on that day and take games away from us. So until that final, and we suddenly looked around and we thought, well, hang on, we've got a pretty good side this year. We've made it to the final. We batted first. I can't remember what we scored. It was a reasonable target, maybe 210 or something. Something around about that, enough to sort of, we thought we could defend it, and got a couple of early wickets and then a couple of key wickets in the middle, and ended up winning for the first time.
There's that cracking photo of you celebrating a catch, I seem to recall, covered in mud.
There's a story about that one. There is that the captain at the time for the Wombats, and he nicked a ball, the very ball before down leg side, and a certain Wombat figurehead yelled from the sideline that a better keeper would have caught it. So the very next ball, the same leg side nick went down, and I thought, well, we're going to go with this one, and managed to take the catch. And their great photographer, Paul Sharks, was up on the hill and managed to take a photo. So it was good moment, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good, that one. So then, I mean, those are the early days really of the JCL. And any views on how it's changed now?
Yeah, well, obviously infrastructure. The big turning point was actually since I started, the two big turning points were firstly, probably I think it was 2004. Japan hosted the ICC EAP regional men's qualifiers in Fuji, and that was they put a cricket ground in there for the purpose of playing cricket. So that was the first time in Japan that there's been an actual cricket ground put in. That sort of changed. I think that it changed playing numbers and it changed attitude towards the games a lot more after that as well. Even though we were traveling a long way to go to Shizuoka or to Fuji to play what was a smaller league than it is now, so not as often, suddenly the game improved just because of having two purpose-made cricket pitches down there. The rivalries increased, the quality of cricket increased. And then with the move to Sano and the river grounds being developed, especially, well, it went 1, 2, 3, and now 4. But when 1 and 3 were put in, it really took off from there. There was more teams, more clubs were actually getting stronger, not just teams, which was a good thing. So clubs were suddenly putting in second 11s, and now even third 11s with the third division JCL. So those 2 points, I think, just when the facilities came along, it sort of coincided with certain growths in clubs and numbers. I'd also say that probably coincided with junior programs as well. Suddenly, like we could have a tournament in Fuji, an under 15 or an under 19 tournament, winter tournament, summer holiday tournaments down there in Fuji. And I think the best year we had like 6 or 7 teams down there competing because there's 2 grounds side by side. And it had a really good tournament feel about it. So the results from that, as you can see, there is a lot more people playing senior cricket now, which have come through the junior programs, say 5, 6, 7 years ago. To take that the next step further is like having the SICG now in the condition that it is, which is like truly, it's a world-class ground. There's no reason that the playing standard should improve from there. And the consistency as well, I'm expecting to get stronger.
When you're out umpiring a game at the SICG, do you ever look around and just think, cannot believe it's come this far in the time that I've been in Japan?
I think the first game I umpired in Japan was a game in Koiwa where you bat from one end, and the pitch was so bad that a guy broke his nose off a length ball, and it was just terrible. It wasn't a good condition to play cricket. Saying that though, that now has improved as well. That was a very, very bad pitch and bad condition in those days, but it's now at a level where junior cricket can be played. But from there, wow. Just to walking out on the SICG now, that's like, that's great. It's, you look around, I look around at this when I'm on the SICG every time. I look at the mountains in the background and you see everything else and you think, oh yeah, this is nice. Yeah, we're getting there.
This is proper
getting there. Yeah.
So that segues nicely into the umpiring side of things. You've been heavily involved in that, especially for training umpires in Japan, but you've also done international tournaments. Can you tell me about how you started getting into that and the path that's taken you on?
So I think it was the year 2007. There was an ICC EAP panel at that time, and they'd expanded it to have an umpire panel and then a supplementary umpire panel for the first time. I was asked by Neil Harrison if I was interested in it, and because Neil and I'd umpired with Neil in a charity match in Yokohama, I think the year before, 2006.
Is that Devin Malcolm was here?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Devin Malcolm's here, and it was a great game. Yeah, couple dev 11 versus. It was a great game anyway. In the wet, but anyway, after that, so that he'd asked me to if I was interested in being part of this supplementary panel, and there'd be training provided and trying to build the strengths of umpires in the region. And I was interested because as a junior, one of the things I'd done growing up is I'd been a field hockey umpire, and I'd really always had an interest in that side of it as well, of the sport that I play. So yeah, I was very interested in it. And my first tournament I went was in 2008, and it was in Indonesia, under 15s regional 8th tournament. So,
Seen the photo from that one.
and I think on the day before the final, there was unfortunately there was a attack on the Australian embassy there, a terrorist attack, and we were all had to remain at the grounds that we were at. So yeah, that was a introduction to international umpiring that day. But unfortunately, the tournament was cancelled after that and before the finals. But that was my first tournament. From that, I managed to sort of umpire probably on average 1 or 2 tournaments a year until about 2016 or so 17, I think, when it changed. The whole systems have changed. So it was always good to sort of get there, get the training, like have the opportunities to umpire with like test umpires. I've stood with test umpires, people with a lot of ODI experience. I always felt that was a privilege for me, and I always tried to learn as much as I could, knowing that whatever I took in myself, hopefully I could pass on in the future through my own experiences and listening to and learning from these people who have obviously had a lot more experience than myself. That was always a big part of it, yeah.
I find umpiring a funny thing. So I've done a reasonable amount of it now that I'm in Japan, and I did a little bit before then too. But I find with umpiring that, I wake up on a Saturday morning and I don't especially want to go. I'm like, I'm carrying an umpire, I'm going to stand in the field for 80 overs, and I'm not particularly keen on it. And if I can find a way out of it or someone else to take my place, I'll happily do it. But then when I get out there and I'm actually doing it, I love every minute of it. And I think that's probably one of the big challenges for umpiring and getting people to do it, is to take those first steps. And once you are out there, it's a great way to interact, and particularly if you're a fan of the game, you got the best seat in the house. Is that something that you've always felt when you've been umpiring?
Yeah, definitely. And the other part of that is, okay, if you see it as like, today I'm going to be umpiring with such and such, that's my team for the day. When you go out there working as a team, it makes the day a lot more enjoyable, I think. Certain umpires I really like umpiring with and really look forward to seeing that name come up on the sheet that you're umpiring with. That's local as well as, like the international tournaments I've done as well, knowing that such and such is going to be there and whatever. It definitely makes your day a bit better. And I think like ball by ball, if you're by yourself and you can go into your own little zone, it can be a little bit boring and tedious, and you can also lose concentration, which is the last thing an umpire should be doing during a match. But if you're working there with another guy, it makes the day a lot more easy to get through. And it just definitely improves the standard of umpiring as well, I think.
You must have seen a lot of matches over the years. Any particularly memorable matches or incidents that our listeners would like to hear about?
Memorable matches? There's been a few. On both sides of the coin, nothing that really stands out. Umpiring, I'm always feeling I'm just doing the job, and like you can feel the tension from the players, or if a game's getting close or whatever. And that's usually when I talk to my partner and say, hey, let's make sure that we really get this last 5 overs right, or whatever, work ball by ball. But without sort of being part of the match, if you know what I mean. So from that side of it, it does have its downsides being an umpire that plays. I remember as a wicketkeeper, at least 2 times that a batsman has been standing on his line, and I called for taking a stumping, and the umpire square leg said not out. So the batsman's still standing there with his foot on the line, and I'm taking the stump out and not out. And I said, well, look where he's standing. And obviously the umpire didn't know the rule, but we needed a foot behind the line, not on the line. So that's has been frustrating, seeing a few things like that over the years.
Inspires you to educate the umpires more, mate.
Well, that's a big part of it. Yeah, a big part of it.
All right. So of the many hats you wear, one of your others is as JCA board member. How did that come about, and then what does that encompass?
So it came with the restructuring of the JCA. There was a restructuring of the board as well. There was a few new members came on. I was asked to join the board as a member of the cricket community side of it.
When was that?
I'm thinking must be about 7 years ago. 7, 8 years ago.
Because you've always been a board member since I've been here, and I arrived in 2014.
Okay.
Probably it would have been
Yeah,
2012, 2013, I guess.
Yeah, it must have been, yeah. So, yeah, from there, yeah, I was asked to join that. And then, just that opened my eyes to sort of what the JCA deals with behind the scenes and from different angles. Okay, it's not just who's playing what match and how it's going on the ground or what the condition of the ground is like or anything like that, but all the other things like staffing and budgets and, promotions and, looking into the future and trying to envisage how the game can grow, how we can grow the game, all these different angles, which not many people had really thought about before. So it definitely opened my eyes when I became a member. Yeah.
Cool. So we touched earlier on your kids. You have a couple of kids playing for Japan. Marcus, when doing a interview for the Under-19 World Cup, for those who don't know, Marcus Thurgate was the Under-19 captain of the World Cup in 2020. And he said that when asked how he got into cricket, his answer is that his parents created a cricket club for him to play. That's the case, right? He literally created the MyWise so that Marcus and his mates could learn cricket in the way you have.
So the MyWise had actually been created just a couple of years before. That was with Ishimoto Yumi. She created that in Chiba. And we wanted to play what is now blast cricket in the blast program, which wasn't sort of in our area at all at the time. So we created a team, the Monstars, Mighty Monstars. And at that time, we were very fortunate that in Chiba Prefecture, there was 4, I think, teams the same. So there's 4 regional teams. And it was very good because we could come together every couple of months and have mini tournaments, like under 12 tournaments. And from that, the kids graduated to join the MyWise, and the MyWise, youth sign with under 15s, under 19s, which is, it's been very educational, really, for not just for me, but for all the kids. It's been, absolutely fantastic system, I think, very multicultural, which is, probably rare in Japan, to have such a multicultural group of people who all get on so well together, grow up together, really. And we've had a lot of fun, especially the as I said before, the touring matches down to Fuji, little away trips have been great. Yeah, just a good bunch of people, managed excellently by Ishimoto Yumi. I just can't thank her enough for the amount of effort and time she puts into that, the management side of it.
Has it been a surprise to you how much your kids have taken to cricket, given that, they're gone to Japanese schools and born and raised here, and this side of it is a huge part of their lives?
Yeah, I think the culture around it as well, like with the culture of the MyWise as well, has encouraged the kids to talk about cricket outside of school. So all my boys have all done school sports as well. So they've all been into the Japanese Bukatsu system. They've all done that, but they've also done the cricket as well. And the cricket's provided them a different image of how sport is. So, the kids in the MyWays, they talk about, Sachin Tendulkar's stats or who bowled what ball and what World Cup and noise. There's a few freaks in there, it's like... And that's what kids are sort of like. Whereas the Japanese system doesn't really have that so much. It's just sort of get in there, train, and go home.
It's PE rather than sports,
right? Yeah. So seeing both types of systems, I think, and just having that group of friends which kept them involved all the time. That's been a great experience for them, and probably the main reason why they continue playing cricket, I think.
So 2019 was a bit of a bumper year for you. You saw your boys turn out for the under-19s and qualify for the World Cup. And then that was wrapped up at the end of the season by the Sharks winning the first grand final since the one we talked about earlier in 2010. That must have been a pretty proud year.
Yeah, it was. When I think about that qualifying tournament that we did host here in Sano, though, I think about the teams that we could have put out for the 2 previous qualifying tournaments.
Yeah, tell me about
it. It's not just suddenly Japan's got this bunch of junior cricketers. Actually, this is we've probably for the last 10 years we've probably had pretty decent side, I'd say. So that's just they're just the next wave of it. And I'm sure that the next wave coming through is just the same because the numbers are there now. So that was a big thing for that. I wasn't surprised at all in that tournament, the qualifying tournament, how they went, knowing half the side, from coming from Chiba, what they were like, what they were capable of. And so that was, it was a very pleasant experience, I suppose, that tournament, having it at home too. And also the other side of it, like, I was with the umpires and that, and in that tournament and having those umpires who have, I think every umpire in the tournament had done an ODI match except for me. And to have those guys coming in saying, hey, this is a great ground. Look at these facilities. This world class. Sort of made you pretty proud of what we have,
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a big eye opener for a lot of people in the region. So the fruits of the labour that have been put in by, the JCA in terms of sowing the seeds of junior cricket and prioritising junior cricket at the expense of other things sometimes. But, there was a purpose to it, and getting to the World Cup, suddenly people sat up and were like, right, okay, this is actually a pretty big deal. And to then see those kids go on, and a couple of them, as I mentioned, winning the JCL that year. And so I believe, and someone might have to correct me, that yourself and Marcus are the first father-son duo to have both won the JCL.
I have never heard of that. So there you are.
And as wicketkeepers as well. So yeah, I think that would have been a great year. And then, what was it like? I know you stayed behind, but your wife went over to South Africa. Now, what was it like watching your two boys taking part in the World Cup and lining up against India and England?
Oh, it's surreal. It's like, trying to fit in work and everything else at the same time back here. Well, the time zones and whatever, which were happening. It's like, it's just quite strange feeling, seeing how they're going and like the progression, even from the trip before in Australia, following all those matches and seeing how things were going there and trying to gauge at what level they are, in the world. And just, I think what we did that tournament in the World Cup is just put our foot in the door saying, we're here, we've arrived. And it's not just this group of kids that, I hear this time, there's a future for this. And if anyone comes to Japan now, for example, or watches the live streams of the JCL, they'll notice that there's quite a good level of cricket happening here now. So hopefully it's a first step to a lot of good things that will happen in the future as a result of hard work.
Yes, I mean, that was going to be my final question on this particular section was hopes for the future. What do you, looking ahead, what do you think can be achieved? What's your ideal, if you like?
So I think ideally to keep the strengths of cricket in Japan and to keep growing it, I think that clubs in Japan are going to have to play a big part of that. Clubs and club cricket. I think that there's starting to be a core of cricket clubs formed in Japan now, which, the stronger or the people with the clubs with the more membership have 3 sides in each division, plus a Japan Cup side. Plus they're now also branching out into putting out a women's side, putting into junior cricket. These clubs will form, I think they'll form the pillars which will take it further ahead and strengthen the club. Through numbers, you can see the JCL hopefully expanding even more, say down to 4 division. I think if 4th division was created, for example, it might attract older people back to play with their sons, or there'd be an easier path for junior cricketers to play in with some more older people as well. We can entice them back into it.
Yeah, we kind of almost got the plan for the 3rd division, but the standard was just kept really going up.
But behind that though is like obviously the administration has to be top notch, and at the moment I think the JCL committee they're doing a fantastic job. It's really pleasing to sit back and watch what they're doing. Actually, to manage 3 divisions like this in times like we're having at the moment is it's a real credit to them.
Yeah, that's heroes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think alongside that, looking to the future, we have the facilities there. We have the top class facilities in SICG, which I'd like to see first division matches played there on the turf wickets as much as possible, umpired by our panel of umpires, which hopefully we can make stronger and stronger each year. And then branch out. Hopefully more of the regions will develop their own grounds through the clubs and the regional association, and we can play a bit more home and away JCL cricket in the future. That would be ideal. And I think from that, the juniors will strengthen naturally. There's easy pathways into senior cricket for them, and really easy pathways, which is one of the biggest steps, is from the Blast or the under-12 primary school cricket into junior high school or youth cricket. That seems to be a big step at the moment. But if those pathways are made easier, I think we'll retain a lot more cricketers as well.
Got it all mapped out, haven't we? That's ideal.
Hopefully.
Okay, mate. I've got some cricket specific questions. These are sort of quick fire questions for you. So don't think too much about them, just whatever comes to mind. Okay. So best player you've played with or against?
Played with or against probably Patrick Giles Jones for Japan. I played against him and with him. So yeah, both sides. Yeah.
And best thing you've ever learned from a coach?
Don't get the ball in the air.
Career highlight?
I have to be the 2010 trophy, I think.
And flip side of that, worst loss or most difficult match you've umpired?
The worst one I've umpired, probably something, nothing specific, but probably something where rain has interrupted a really good match.
So, yeah, curses of the sport. Funniest thing you've seen happen on a cricket field?
Once again, the old days where I was umpiring, teams umpired just usually with one umpire, and then the square leg was from the batting side. I was umpiring a match down in Thurgate. It was against a team with some Indian players and playing against the Japanese side. Sky ball catch. The scorers from the batting side yelled out, who caught it? And I've yelled out, Noble. The man's name was Noble. I've yelled out, Noble. I've gone back down to my notes, and I've looked up again. There's two batsmen standing at the strikers there. So what's going on there? Well, I said, well, you've just called Noble. I said, no, that was his name. So that was wrong. I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I bet. What's your favourite format of cricket?
Most challenging to umpire is long format, 2 innings cricket, and it's probably just because there's a lot more things to deal with. I really like 2020. I think it's an exciting game to watch and to umpire as well. Yeah, I think it's the future too. Definitely the future.
Favourite place to play cricket or umpire?
You really can't be playing at Fuji when the mountain's out.
Yeah,
or umpiring. It's magic. It's just magic. Yeah.
Best place you've ever watched cricket? So that doesn't necessarily have to be in Japan.
Probably on the hill at the Gabba.
And here's one for you. Can you name one innings or bowling performance played by someone else that you wish you could have played yourself?
Adam Gilchrist at the World Cup final in the Caribbean when he had the squash ball in his head.
I was at that game.
Perfect.
In the stand. Don't remember much of it. The game that started late because of the rain, and by the time the game got going,
it was dark.
Pretty well oiled. It's very dark when it finished. Okay.
Was it? Okay.
2007, yeah. It's Sri Lanka. He's got 150. Yeah. Not very many.
Yeah.
Okay, some Japan-specific questions for you. And I know you're going to have some here. Strange experiences in Japan.
Well, with cricket?
No, not necessarily. Anything that leaps to mind.
It's got to be some of the food challenges, some of the foods and things that you come across, regional varieties of different things.
Fun enough, that's one of my next questions. Was going to be favorite food.
I like fishing. One of my hobbies. I really like fishing, so I do like eating fish. Yeah.
And your worst Japanese food that you've had?
It's got to be that thing, the sea slug that Yoshi likes.
Yeah, that is revolting. What's your favorite thing about Japan?
After bringing up kids here, it's probably the safety of it. The safety and the organization of like the transportation and the systems that are in place. They can be frustrating. Don't get me wrong. The black and white of it all can be very frustrating, but as a parent, definitely the safety of having kids here.
Any one place that a visitor must go to in Japan?
You've got to somehow see Fuji. You have to see it ideally as a cricketer, but even if it's just on the Shinkansen going past, because I think the symmetry of the mountain, it just sort of, it's just Japan in one shot, like how does the mountain so perfectly formed? It just sums up Japan in one shot, I think.
I moved house about 8 months ago and lost my view of Fuji. And it's fine. Even living as far away as Sane, 300 k's away or whatever, could still see it at sunset and sunrise. And
that's amazing, isn't it?
it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, final question for you, and you'll be a good one for this because you have good Japanese. Your favorite Japanese word or phrase and its meaning?
Shogunai.
Up.
It can't be helped.
Can't be helped. It's the curse of trying to get anything done.
So,
Hey, Chris, thanks very much for coming on and chatting. It's been great. I hope you've enjoyed it.
yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to catching up on the field soon.
Definitely. We've covered a lot of these topics in the past, but never in kind of a linear order. So it's quite nice to go through, get your story. So yeah, I hope our listeners appreciate it. And I'm very grateful for your time. Thanks very much.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Alan. Thanks again.
That concludes this episode of the Japan Cricket Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening. And if you really enjoyed listening, then I would be forever grateful if you could rate and review the show on whatever platform you get your podcasts. It would just help others to find the show and have the added bonus of making me feel a little bit better about myself. Until next time, arigatou gozaimashita.